Okay. Well, good afternoon. Today is September 24, 2025, and this is Latonian speaking. So, as promised in the language group, I said I was going to do the audio for the PDF that I shared on nasals. So, this is that video now. So, I had written a document September 20th, and I'm going over it now. So, Latonian Toni's language share, September 20, 2025. That's when I had drafted it. So, Nanticoke Heritage and Lenape Language Nest Group. Group administrator is myself, and this is the various ways that my name is seen out in the universe. With the first initial of my name, L, my middle name, Jazmine, and my last name, Dunson, or just my full name at birth, Latonian Jazmine Dunson, or you'll see Latonian J. Dunson, or you'll see just Latonian Dunson, or you'll see L. Dunson, or Latonian D. These are all the versions of my name. Then my native name is Yòpitkwëshaasit Skwe, and on my image I put Skwe, Muslima, Chica, woman, baby girl, Sagittarius, and then of course my first and my last name, Latonian Dunson. So if you want to know what Mayalsu means she lives in the way of certainty. And then Skwe is woman, so the woman who lives in the way of certainty. So that's pretty much the translation from Muslima, how I was translating that. Anyway, other language outlets are her YouTube channels, like Silence of the Light and Latonian Jazmine Dunson, Human Woman. Note, she also invited other language teachers and students to the group with her Nanticoke heritage or not, whether they have Nanticoke heritage or not. So, as an introduction, I'm just going to introduce myself. So, Latonian is expressing her love for her heritages, Ramapo, maternal with language. Sorry, I was like reading backwards. It's from Arabic. I was reading Arabic today. So let me start over. Introduction. Latonian is expressing her love for her heritages, Nanticoke paternal, and Nanticoke Lenape Ramapo maternal with language. It has always been her thing. She once created a language nest called Nanticoke Tidewater Language, with the focus on Nanticoke language revival, and she craves the space to just speak naturally again. She always been about real speaking and creating. Her Native American ancestral heritage surnames are Wright, Harmon, Johnson, Morse, Miller, Clark, Pitts, Carney, Norwood, Sockham, Street, and others. Her full legal birth name is Latonian Jazmine Dunson, and it was not put on the genealogy website, only her first and last name, Latonian Dunson. Just a disclaimer, I have recently filled out a tribal application under the Lenape Tribe of Delaware. I have not gotten back on that yet, but that is pending, so I'm making movements behind the scenes. But anyway, getting started. These two writing symbols below I created are the most important sounds to visualize nasals. So you have the M and the N, and then you have the actual nasal symbol that I created. The basics. The start to speaking is the visions of the sounds and how they are put together. The nasal sounds of M and N are heavily used in our heritage. I created these symbols to represent the placements in the mouth. M is closed and lips are together, represented by one line. N, the teeth are together, creating a cross. The nasal symbol on both the M and N occurs when there are certain consonants following them. So I'm going to go over the consonants that follows these symbols and why I would put the nasal symbol there. I don't put it all the time, but I do it as a practice so I can get used to practicing nasals. So it helps to have the symbol. So I created one. So here's the examples. So you can see for the B sound, you have the M with the nasal above it and then the letter P. So together that's like B, the B sound. Without that, it's just P. So that's why I show it. And then we have the N with the nasal symbol above it with the ch sound together, that's j. So without that, it's just ch, like in church or cheese. And then it's like a J sound when it has a nasal or the N before it. So that's why I show that. And then other versions, you have the N with the nasal symbol and then the T to make the D sound. So it'll be like duh, but more nasal, like duh. And then you have the T without that. And then for G, you have the N with the nasal symbol above it with the K, and that creates the G sound, like g, but more nasal, so g. Without that, it's just K. It's just the k sound. And then you have, in similar fashion, you have the S. So I show the S symbol and then how that turns into a Z sound, like a buzz sound, is when you have the N symbol with the nasal above it with the S symbol. So that creates the Z sound. And then a similar sound, which is like a Z, but like more like in measure, so it's more strong. It's when you have the sh and then you nasal that. So I show the sh symbol and then how you get the sound from measure, that j would be the N symbol with the nasal above it, the nasal symbol, and then you have sh, so that together would sound like j, like in measure. So these are things we don't really think about, but when we're speaking the language we can hear it. So that's why I wanted to create these symbols, so when I see it I can know, okay, I need to make a nasal sound. So some of these sounds are categorized as buzz and hissing sounds, and they do go along with nasals, so that's why I put them here. This is something I picked up on learning Nanticoke and Lenape and Muncie a long time ago. So these symbols are typed, however they are handwritten demonstrations on how to handwrite them as well. So I'm going to show you guys the handwritten demonstrations. So these are my handwritten notes. So practice writing Latonian's Nanticoke writing symbols by Latonian Jazmine Dunson, myself, and just the short version Latonian Dunson. And I've written this September 20, 2025. So I just go step by step on how to write the symbols. Now I do have the keyboard on my own computers. I do not know how to transfer my keyboard online yet, so without that technical knowledge, this is all I got for you guys. So I don't mind people using my symbols, that's why I'm teaching it. So you have the M, step 1, you just draw the circle and then draw the line in the middle, and that's how you get the M sound, like your lips are closed, so it's like an abstract drawing of a lip, basically a closed lip. And then the N, It's similar, but you have the T in the circle, or it could be a T or a cross in the circle. That's the N. So that's like the abstract version of when you have your teeth together and you're gonna say the N sound. So that's what it looks like. Mind you, I was creating these symbols when I was looking in the mirror, practicing Lenape and Nanticoke. So that's how I was able to create these symbols. Then we have the nasal symbol. Now the nasal symbol is interesting. This is actually an abstract drawing of the uvula. So if you open your mouth and you want to make nasal sounds, you can see the uvula that swings in the back of your throat, and that helps with creating different sounds. So this is actually an abstract look at the uvula, and then that line there, it's basically saying that it's swinging back and forth. So when you make nasal sounds, your uvula kind of leaps, like jumps up, if you see it in the mouth. So that's why I put it like that. So this is really just abstract drawings of what is going on in the mouth, the sounds. And then you have the M nasal and then the B sound. So you're going to make the circle, you're going to make that line, you're going to have the abstract uvula for creating the nasal, and then you're going to have your lips closed. So together when you do that, so you haven't really opened your mouth at all, but what's happening inside of you is you're making the sound and your uvula is moving. So all you're gonna do is just pretty much what the image is showing you. You have to have your mouth closed, and before you even think of making the sound, you're just gonna have the initial position, because that's where the sound comes from. So your mouth is not open at all. It should look just like that, like that. So then that's why the P is also drawn that way. So if you see the P, it looks like a lip that's puckered, a puckered lip, and that's how the P sound comes from, or comes about. So all of my drawings were pretty logical once I explained them and how they came about. And then you have the J or the N nasal ch sound for J, the J. So how I did this one, again, I'm talking about what's going on in the mouth, where these sounds are coming from and how they're being made. So your teeth are going to be showing, and it should show like a cross. So your teeth should be gathered together and your mouth should be slightly open, as I'm showing you in an abstract way here. And then your uvula in this position is going to help you make that sound, like you need airflow. So when you make the sound, you're going to push slight air out, and to get that j sound in there, you're going to have your teeth together. So this is very abstract. You see this? This is the same placement for when you make the N. However, your lips are going to close in a little bit, so that's why it looks like that. So when your lips close in a little bit, you still can see a little bit of that cross sign that your teeth makes when they're together, and then you're just going to say nj, nj. So that gets you that J sound. So that's why I drew it that way. Similarly, we have it with the CH sound, the ch. It's going to be in that same placement. Okay, so if you look at closely, it's like you have the lip, upper lip and bottom lip, upper lip and lower lip, and then you have the teeth that's going to show, the 2 front teeth and the 2 bottom teeth. That's as much as you should be showing to make that sound. Then for the D, or when you nasal it, the NT sound. So D. We have the N. So your mouth should be slightly open, and you should be showing that cross of your teeth. And you're going to be constricting the sound, so your uvula is going to be pushing air through that. And then here's where it gets interesting. I did an abstract drawing of basically the back of your two front teeth and where your tongue is going to be. So right here, that arrow is actually supposed to be your tongue at the back of your upper front teeth, and that's where you make that placement for the D. And then I did it again for the T, so it's going to show you the same placement you make the D sound is going to be the same placement you make the T sound. The only difference is when it's nasaled, it sounds like a D. When it's not nasal, it's a T. So you make it in the same place. So that's an abstract tongue, and that's the back of your upper teeth, two front teeth, the bigger ones. And then you have the G or the N nasal K to get the G sound. And this basically is similar. Your teeth are going to be showing with the cross. Your mouth is slightly open, and here's where it gets interesting. So the uvula, I made it an abstract drawing. So you have part of the uvula, the front half of the uvula, and then your tongue is pressing against the uvula to make the sound K into a G. So G, G. So when that happens, it touches each other. So that's why I drew it that way, and it looks like a K in English, but it's not. It's basically just like a uvula, a half drawing of the uvula, and then the back of the tongue pressed up against. And then just the K alone, that's basically what it looks like. So just imagine your mouth, what your uvula looks like, and if you could imagine your tongue touching the back of that palate all the way back there. So, or roof, however it's called in English, but that's the drawing of the uvula. So that's where I got those from, and when I explain it, it makes more sense. You can kind of visualize what's going on in the mouth. I used to draw the actual mouth and then put the drawings there for each of the sounds, but I decided to make it into abstract forms, and that's how I was able to create these symbols. So then you have the S. The S pretty much is just like shh, like when your mouth is slightly open, so your upper lip and your bottom lip is like slightly open, and you're just pressing air out like that. And then for the Z sound, and then the nasal N and S, Z. So that's like when you have your mouth slightly open, your teeth are forming that cross symbol, and then you have your uvula helping you to force air out to change the sounds, and then you have your mouth slightly open in order to make that hiss, that buzz, like that. In order to change it to a sh, I just put the little circle above it, so you know when your mouth is supposed to be open, your upper lip and your bottom lip, you're forcing that air out, so something is coming out. So that's why I do that. So something is coming out of your mouth, shh, and that's how you make that sound, shh, like you're forcing air out, shh. And then you have, for the sound like in measure, the zh, the hard zh, ZH sound is when you have the N nasal and then the sh sound together. So zh. That is basically the placement of the mouth is when your mouth slightly open, and you're showing the cross of your teeth. And I already showed you the uvula sign for the nasal. And then you have your mouth, upper lip, and your bottom lip slightly open in order to make the sound, and you're forcing the air out. So, zh, zh. And that's pretty much how that symbol was created. So, if you practice writing them, feel free. I don't mind people using them, that's why I taught it. But that's where these sounds came from. It came from the mouth. And I just drew them abstractly to the best of my abilities. And I created them in 2017 with that idea. Alright, hope this helps. This is all I got for the nasals, and I probably will share in the future some nasal words so we can just practice them. But this is all that I have for the group. Thank you for listening, and take care.